Audrey, good morning.
Morning, Candice. How are you?
I'm brilliant. How are you?
Good.
Lovely, lovely, lovely. So we are looking at the book, What Now? This is by Isaiah Richard. Tell us a little bit about Isaiah.
Okay, so Isaiah is 27 years old. He's a music person. He's a philanthropist. He's a pastor. And he's an author. Yes.
27 sounds fairly young for someone to have insight into grief, but it also grief and loss. But it also just shows us that
I'm always amazed. Even, you're 1 year old. If they lose a parent, they feel those emotions. And at some point in their lives, they will try and put it into words.
Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely. And you can tell just the patterns of going forward that, okay, there's something that happened at a fairly early age that has now led to this. Now, okay, so the book really is titled What Now? And that really is a question. What is he trying to do with this?
Okay, so in his explanation on the title, he was saying more often in life when we lose, grief and loss is just not of a person. It can be something, like you said, it can be a job, it can be a business opportunity, it can be a phone, your phone, someone steals your phone or you lose it, you can actually grieve for it. So he's saying we always then say, why me and why now? But the question is, what now?
Right.
Because that question in what now, it then tells you what to do thereafter. And then when you focus it on it like that, you're not going to focus on the pain. You're going to focus on the steps that you need to take.
So how does he unpack this? How does he guide us through, some of the things that he thinks we can actually do as we ask ourselves what now, to understand where we're going with this?
Okay, so he starts off by explaining how he lost his father. He had a kidney condition, and then, they went through a year of going to the doctors, going for dialysis and all that. And eventually, it's not even like the actual disease that killed him. It was just a botched attempt with the doctors that eventually led to that. So the family couldn't deal with it. The mother couldn't deal with it. There were 6 children involved. So he got insights from that. So now he in the chapters, they're very short, but he talks about, and obviously he relates it to the Bible. So for example, in one chapter, he talks about the Rachel effect. We all know the story of Jacob in the Bible, how he had to work 7 years for one wife, and then the father-in-law changed goalposts and said, no, you have to work another 7 years. So just like we're talking about life, people change, people promise you things that they don't do, and then you're hurt in the process. So we see that when that wife eventually died, he wasn't really mourning the wife per se, but he was stuck in the process that he went through to get to that wife. So for example, let's put it in a modern concept. You've got a job that you're working so hard, to be noticed, the extra hours, extra, efforts that you put in, but still you get retrenched or still the boss doesn't appreciate you. So that pain is going to hurt more than normal. So there's another aspect that he puts through, which I found very interesting.
That is actually very interesting. We take for granted the way things work, and like you're saying, rightfully so, elements change. And so while you may do all the things that you are supposed to do and follow procedures by the book, goalposts can actually shift, and we're never really in the mindset where we're prepared to deal with that. Does he give us any insight into how to maybe, as you go about your processes, maybe to leave room for a different outcome as to what it is that you're set up with?
Definitely. So I'll answer that, but let me just speak to the themes. So one of them is pain is a reality, and pain demands to be felt, but it should not be the ultimate end. So I think, like what you're saying, let's leave room for all these things that can happen. And besides, no one has a set plan in life to say tomorrow you're going to wake up like this, the traffic's going to be like that. There's always room for that error and change that should be there. And then also there's that one quote that made me really introspect. It says, if you're not careful, the place of your pain can become the place of your stagnancy.
That is true. That is very true. Because we get stuck in this in this hole, in this rut that is entirely walled by this pain, and you can't see beyond that. You can't think beyond that. You can't function or get yourself to function in a way that moves forward. I suppose until you then ask, okay, what now? You know, what do I do? I'm at this point. I've been here for so long. What do I do? How do I move? But there's a thing that's very interesting to me here. One of the chapters, and it says the resemblance and reoccurrence effect. What was that about?
Okay, so for example, let's put it in a romantic concept, yeah? A man impregnates a woman, and then he leaves and he starts a new life. And then, so the child that remains might have features that actually resemble the person who's gone. So it can be 5-10 years later, life has changed. Maybe this woman is actually remarried and life is different. But you always want to go back to the past because of those tiny little features that resemble the past. So you say you need to get out of it and get stuck with the current. Let go of the past and get stuck with the current and move forward with your life.
You know, that's a very easy thing to say, let go of the past. How do you let go of the past? I mean, the past will always be there. It's always in the background. It's always shaping how you move forward, especially if it's a past with trauma. Loss and pain come with a lot of trauma with them. So how do you release the aspect of the hurt, the pain, the loss, and acknowledge that, yes, there is a past, but I have moved on from it?
Okay, so I find like these days we're talking a lot about mental health. So you find that there are options out there. You can talk to a trusted friend, you can go to church, you can go for counseling. There are places that even offer free counseling. You can go for therapy. These things, I know as a nation, as a people, we think it's a foreign concept.
Yeah.
But guess what? It's real, and we need to exercise it because I promise you, the trauma that you went through maybe at 10 years, you might think it's gone. And then you can go for therapy 30 years later. And that subject will still pop up.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, definitely. Now, I know Tambota Zera, but who's reading this?
I think this book is for everyone. Like you're saying, because trauma is real. You know, there are people in ECD who are dealing with a lot of trauma right now. That child maybe never saw their father, you know. So we always assume trauma is for elderly people. No, it's for everyone. Children, men, women, we all go through our different types of trauma.
Definitely, and it's a very easy, light read, but packed with information, helpful resources on how you can use your pain and your loss to fuel you forward in life and not get stuck in that rut that will hold you back from prospering, hold you back from moving forward, and keep you, you know, with cycles of pain, they feel like they're never ending, and you feel like in that moment, I'm the only one who's experiencing this, I'm the only one who, until you then pick up something like this, you're like, oh, probably am not the only one. And that also in itself gives you some kind of motivation to just move forward.
That statement, guess what? I've been in therapy and they actually spoke of that statement whereby you think you're the only one. And then you keep on digging a hole because you think you're the only one, but you're not.
Absolutely. Now, of course, where do we get our hands on this?
Direct from the author at the moment and at the African Writers Roundtable.
All right. So that is What Now? Life After Loss, Navigating Your Path Through Pain. This is by Isaiah Richard. You can get your hands on a copy of this. Very light, very easy read, but very effective and very, very useful for you.